All right. There. Okay. All right.
So now, just give me a moment.
challenging, but I'm getting there. I tend to forget that I'm not alone, and that...
How do you notice that, forgive me, but I just want to go back to, how do you notice that it actually saves you time?
My response to that is the time, my time is peaceful. It has cut out a tremendous amount of suffering and misery and running, and being in denial and trying to occupy myself with other things because I didn't want to think, and doing a lot of keeping busy, which I realized in hindsight, looking back, was because I didn't want to. I was running so hard and fast from what I thought was chasing me, I refused to turn around and look at it.
Right.
And
excellent.
I have more time for my spiritual work. I have a greater commitment to my spiritual work.
Yeah.
I don't have all of that, all of those self-imposed distractions because I was in resistance and I was in fear. And I was afraid that what I was believing about myself was true. Which, of course, once I decided to turn around and look at it and turn the light of love on it, it just, not only was it not true, it disappeared.
Right.
Turning the light on in the room where you're sitting in the dark, which is the way I lived most of my life, was sitting in the dark and believing the boogeyman was after me.
Yeah.
So yes. That's, what I would have to say to everybody is it is so well worth using the tools and the techniques and work on your willingness. I was never not willing. This is just a gift. The Spirit has been the engine deep inside me driving this. And if Spirit works that way in me, it works that way in everybody. I was just willing to listen because I was so sick of suffering. I was so sick of struggling. I reached the point where I said there has to be a better way.
Yes. Susie, I'm going to say thank you, and we've got a couple other people want to share here, and I've got so much to cover. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my most favorite thing.
Oh,
Work.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Love you, Susie.
Thank you.
Okay. We've got Lisa.
Hi, Reverend Jennifer.
Hey, Lisa. So how do you notice that your spiritual practice saves you time?
I would like to underline one thing Susie said, in that my time is peaceful.
Yeah.
I'm still busy, and I still have a lot of things to do, but I don't feel like I'm juggling all the time like I used to, just running around like one thing to the next, and not having my mind in it because my mind is racing just like I'm chasing my day. I actually feel like peaceful. I still get a lot of things done. I still have a lot of things to do in the 3D world, but it seems to flow with an ease and grace now and a sense of peace and even joy.
Yeah.
And I'll sit back at the end of the day and do my mastery journal, and I notice that one of the things I write down quite often is the effortless ease and grace in which the day unfolded, because that seems to be how it just happens. And it's so much better than feeling pressed for time all the time. And it seems I get more things done.
Beautiful.
So
yeah.
That has been quite amazing.
I know. It's the same way with me. That's a beautiful share. Thank you. All right, I'm going to mute you back out, and we've got Priscilla Smith on Skype.
Hi.
Hey.
you. I mean, I'm new to masterful living, but one thing that I found in the past and something that I'm here to change is that I've always struggled with anxiety from the time that I was a child. And if you've ever had a lot of anxiousness, you waste a lot of time just kind of being disengaged and in a state of panic, and your mind's racing and your palms are sweaty. And it's just time that you're missing out on not only, being productive, but enjoying your life and being engaged in your life.
Yes, 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 that's right. Absolutely. And because all that negativity and that worry, actually, we find that in that space that we make mistakes and all kinds of things. So you're so right. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just a downward spiral. So.
Yep, been there, done that. Not doing that no more. Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to just read a few things here from people who've written in. Jesse says forgiveness is a huge time saver. And let's see here. I want to stay on the subject of prayer. I'm going to invite you to please help me stay on the topics, because that will make for better calls all year long if we can stay on the topic. Susan, I'm not understanding your question here. I'm sorry. Maybe you can restate it. Just if you read it to yourself. Let's see. Natalie asks, if divine will is the only will there is, does that mean that relationships, accidents, etc. are fated? Say, for example, are we destined to be married to somebody having... Okay, so let me answer that question as best I can. And it's kind of related to prayer, but it's more related to divine will. And I think it's really important to understand divine will so that we're not praying to get stuff. So as I understand it, I think the best way I can explain it is that in our human experience, Course in Miracles says the script is already written. And I think that script, my perception is that script is like a video game script. So, especially an old-fashioned video game. When you're playing a video game, the permutations, the possibilities are already written into the script. You can't rewrite them. You can't add new characters. You can't delete characters. And, however, no one knows how you're going to play the game. And that's how life is. So the script is extremely complex, very multi-layered. However, no one knows, including you, whether or not in each moment are you going to choose love or will you choose fear. So if you choose fear, you open up that fear possibility in the script. If you choose love, you open up the love possibility in the script. If you're kind of in between, you open up the in between. And so it's up to you which way you're going to go. And so the script has already been written. It's extremely complex and multi-layered, just like a video game. And what is not known is what you will choose. So just like in a video game, no one knows. Are you going to turn to the left? Are you going to turn to the right? You're going to go up the stairs, or are you going to go down the thing and jump over the fire pit? Depending on what choices you make with your expression of free will, the illusion of free will, you will experience the effect of that. So I would say that there are probably certain things in your script that are very likely. So, for instance, I had an interesting conversation once with my friend who is an extraordinary astrologer. She passed on, and one night we were up late and talking, and I said, "You know what? I'm just curious. Would you look at my chart from the time I was born until the time I was 11 years old, and just tell me what's in my chart?" And you know what? There was my life in my chart. Pretty amazing to me, because I never really thought much about astrology. And so the big pieces were there, but not how I would interpret them, not how I would deal with them. So, for instance, might it be in your script that you would have some kind of really challenging event at this particular point in your life in order to give you an opportunity to work through some kind of negative karma and to activate some kind of good karma? Yes, that's probably going to be there in your script. But what's not known, will you create more negative karma, or will you heal the negative karma from the past and create more good karma? What will you choose? That's up to you. That's why when we start doing this work in Masterful Living, and people start choosing love and choosing love and choosing love and releasing the judgments, releasing the fear patterns, releasing the deep-seated anxiety patterns and the patterns of lack and limitation and unforgiveness and blame and shame and regret and resentment. And they start opening up the love script and the love script and the love script, amazing things unfold. Relationship healing, physical healing, financial healing, all kinds of emotional healing. People go off of antidepressants, which of course you always consult your doctor if you're going to do that. But that's very common. People go from being suicidal to being happy and fulfilled. So all of these things can transpire. It's up to you how aggressive you will become in looking for the most loving choice in every moment. But remember, we're doing this not to get something, but to recognize we already have been given everything. And I want to invite you all to listen to the radio show that I did this morning. You can access it through my events page on my website, or you can search in iTunes and get the free downloads. Because it was I intentionally made it very complimentary to our class tonight. And let's see, Valerie says, if there is one person you would prefer to be separate from, it keeps you separate from God. What about if you have a friend you no longer want to be around? Well, just don't judge them. It's that's the real thing. It's not about wanting to be physically separate from them, but really it's about thinking that you'd like to judge them and you don't have a compassion for them. Because there are people who are unpleasant to be around. I have love for them. I have compassion for them. I'm not judging them. But I also don't really want to be around them. So that is an excellent question. All right. I think so. I think we got everything there. And I can go, let's see, Moira has something to share. Oh, and Nancy too. Okay. Moira. I'm good. Real quick.
Good. Simply about saving time. I always find that if I have the opportunity and I have the thought, remind myself to, get centered in my heart and, just remember the love thing. It does. It saves time. It makes me more efficient. It means my mind works easier, my relationships work easier, etc.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you. Good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
Moira down under. And Nancy.
Yes, I want to talk about I just wanted to share about the saving time.
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Somebody said something, or somebody a while back, about procrastination is of the ego. I don't know if you said it or not, but I discovered that's true today. And
Yes.
procrastination, because that's what I do or have done. Procrastination, push something off, something that I'm afraid of, or I won't do it perfectly, blah, 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 which means time goes on and on and on until at some point I either do it or I don't. But that's all that time that's been wasted. And yesterday it was like, okay, fine. And I was praying about it, something last night. I missed the call last night. But anyways, and then all of a sudden, it was like I got up and I did all this stuff, and I did it like in 5-6 minutes, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
But it's like the procrastination is from the fear, which is so you choose fear or you choose love, and as long as the fear is ruling, you're spending all this time. You're spending time, which is like a currency of your life, right?
Yeah, I call it
Time and
investing.
You understand? Did I make myself clear?
You did. That's beautiful. And what I would just say is, rather than spending time, we're investing it.
Yeah, I'm investing it in the wrong thing.
Yeah, so the more we invest in love, the more we invest wisely, and so it pays great dividends. It pays dividends that are helpful and expansive and fun and joyful. When we invest in fear and procrastination and things like that, then the dividends are lack, limitation, suffering, frustration, irritation. So, yeah, one of the great things about the law of cause and effect, particularly right now in our human experiences, there is such a sense of things come back to you so quickly.
Yes.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. That was great. All right, so I want to share some things about prayer, and to illustrate this whole thing about why sometimes people will think that I call it when people experience that their prayer is not effective and they're not getting the results that they'd like. I find that a couple of things are operating, and I want to invite you to just be aware of them because it'll create less suffering. So if you're praying for stuff, then what you're doing is you're affirming that the stuff is more important than the spiritual realization of the truth that sets you free. We, in this class, are learning to pray to have a spiritual realization of the truth that sets us free, to know peace, to know freedom, to know joy, to know love, to know compassion, to know harmony and wisdom and clarity and prosperity and abundance and all of the spiritual qualities of life that are omnipresent and omnipotent are our true nature. That is the kingdom which is within. So we're looking within, we're not looking outside of ourselves. If you're praying for stuff, if you're praying to change things in the world, you might be able to have an experience of that, but it is going to lead to some kind of suffering because that's how you're choosing to learn, by valuing the stuff of this world. So that's why we pray to know peace, not to make peace in the world, but to know peace, to have peace, because it's already ours. Ask and it is given, because it already has been given. So I want to illustrate some of this with some stories. And one of the things I've seen over and over and over again is people will pray very intently to know the truth for 5 minutes in the morning. And then they will literally spend the next 15 hours of the day thinking thoughts like, I'm never going to do it. It can't happen. I don't have enough. There's lack, there's limitation. I'm not good enough. It's never going to work for me. Something's wrong with me. It's something's wrong with other people. I'm never going to get ahead. All of these thoughts. Remember, it's done unto you as you believe. So what you believe, you will experience. What you believe, you will experience, even if you only experience it in your mind. I remember many years ago, I had a client who asked me, she said, Jennifer, how is it that you have been able to have so much spiritual success? You constantly having more peace, more love, more joy. How are you able to accomplish that? I don't understand. Things feel so hard for me. And I said, well, many years ago when I was in my 20s, I had an experience of a vision of myself as an awakened being of light. And I decided that even though I had not one clue how to get from being an upset, angry, judgmental, miserable person to being that beautiful being of light, I was going to just put one step in front of the other, one decision in front of the other, and head in that direction. And I thought it's going to take me many, many, many lifetimes to get there, but that's the only place I'm interested in going. And so my client said to me, oh, see, that's why I'm never going to be able to do what you're doing, because I can't even imagine myself healthy, happy, and whole. I have no imagination. I have no ability to even imagine the good. My imagination was taken from me because of my circumstances, because of my depression and these things. And so, because I knew her very well, I said to her, sweetheart, you have one of the most vivid imaginations of anybody I have ever met. And you constantly imagine terrible things are happening. The people are betraying you, that they're against you. You imagine all kinds of desperate futures for yourself. You imagine the worst case scenario again and again and again. And you think it's going to happen, or it's likely going to happen. Or if you don't do something to manipulate the circumstances and the people in your life, that it will happen to you. And so you literally affirm it is happening to you. And because your imagination is so vivid, you experience the pain and the suffering of the betrayals and the upsets and the loss happening to you, even though it's not actually happening. It's just one of many possibilities. I said, your imagination is so vivid, you experience the suffering of things that aren't even happening, because you're in worry and fear so much of the time. And that was a shock to her system. She had never really thought about it that way. And I noticed that this is a very, very common thing, and I used to do it all the time myself. And so that's why when I trained myself that if I noticed myself going into projecting worried thoughts, negative thoughts, fearful thoughts, I would say I'm not interested in thinking those thoughts anymore. I'm not interested in investing my attention in that. I'm not interested in believing that. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I am interested in love. I'm a creature of love and light, and that's all I'm investing in. That's all I'm interested in. I am choosing the thoughts I think with God. Love, peace, compassion, prosperity, wholeness, harmony, wisdom, freedom. This is where I'm placing my attention. I am not interested in thinking those negative thoughts anymore. I'm not interested in believing that sad story for myself anymore. I'm interested in creating a life of love and ease and grace and peace and harmony and sharing the benefits with everyone because I'm one with them. So I would say that to myself 50, 100 times a day. No kidding. And I retrained my mind. And I just don't think those thoughts very often anymore. And if I do, I immediately start to feel tense and worried. And so I know, whoa, the divine alarm clock is going off, letting me know I've been choosing negativity. Now, let me say this also. You can't play lip service. You can't pay lip service to God. If your heart is not in your prayer, you're not going to experience much effect. Now, how do you know your heart is in your prayer? Are you praying to get something? Or are you praying to be and know the love of God? Are you just praying to end your suffering? Or are you praying to be and know the love of God? If all you're praying to do is end your suffering, your heart's not fully in it. Your heart is still looking to manipulate the universe to make you happy. And that's where you are. That's where your learning is. And you can shift that, and you will shift that, particularly if you're in masterful living. So here's an important thing I'd like to share with you. And I was so happy when I had this realization about prayer. So I was explaining to a friend how prayer works and why it works for some and not for others. And so I decided to illustrate it with a story. So I used the example of my friends Liz and Paul. And some of you are from the Agape community. You might know Liz and Paul Racy. And Liz is, they're both practitioners at Agape, prayer practitioners. And they're a husband and wife, been together for a very long time, very dedicated and devoted to each other. They love each other very, very much. And they're prayer partners now for many, many years, and they've been prayer partners of mine for many, many years. And so in this illustration, we're going to pretend that Paul, Liz's husband, is God. All right, and now God is not a man, and God is not an old man in the sky. But let's just pretend that God is in this story to try and understand a little bit of how God works. So let's say my friend Liz is having some kind of a challenge. And let's just say that the challenge is that she is planning an event in the future. And let's say, I'm just going to make up, she's planning a birthday party for her mom. And she is stressing about it, the details of it. And Paul notices that she's worried and she's upset. All right. So now remember, in this, Paul is like the representation of the divine, God. And so is Liz, of course. But so Paul notices that Liz is worried and upset. And he says, "Sweetheart, what's going on? How come you're worried and upset?" And she says, "Well, I'm just worried about all these details coming together for my mom's party. I'm afraid that this isn't going to go right and that's not going to go right. I'm worried about the place where we're going to have it and the caterer. I'm worried about the transportation and these things and the parking, and it's just so many details." And so Paul, representing the infinite love of God, says to her, "Why don't you give your problems to me, and I will take care of it. And you don't have to worry about it anymore. Just give it to me, and I'll take care of it." And Liz says, "Really? You do that for me?" And he says, "Sure, baby. I love you. You're the light of my life. Of course I'll do that for you. And she says, wow, that would be fantastic. Wow, you'll take care of all the little details and making sure it all comes together? And he says, yeah, I will. Now, what this is like placing it on the altar. So when we have a prayer to know the love of God, to know the peace of God, to know the joy of God, we place that on the altar. All right? So we're giving our worries and concerns to God. And we can literally say, I don't have any problems anymore. I give them all to God. Right? So in this scenario, Paul's representing God. Liz is giving all of her problems to Paul. And he, representing God, says, all I'm asking for you is to go. Be happy. Be peaceful. Worry no more. Know in your heart that all is well and all is taken care of. You will be divinely guided and led to every choice and every decision that is yours to make, that's a part of this event. And the rest I'll take care of. And she says, wow, that's great. Thank you. Gosh, you really do love me. And he says, that's right. I love you completely. So she goes away and he goes away to do his thing. And after a little while, she starts to think, oh my gosh, you know what? I did not tell Paul how I want the party to be decorated. I didn't tell him how I want it to unfold. There's so many attachments that I have to how I want it to be and how I think it should be and how it has to be in order for it to be good and right and for me to be happy. Oh my God, I have all these opinions and judgments. I didn't tell him. He's not going to know. So she goes running back to him and she says, honey, I forgot to tell you all these opinions I have about how it should be in order for me to be happy, in order for it to be good and right, and I can relax. And Paul, representing the divine, says to her, honey, I know every preference that you have, and I know what is the highest and best for all. You can relax. You can be in peace. You can trust that I already know everything there is to know about what is highest and best and what you would most love and appreciate and benefit from. So please trust me to allow it to unfold for everyone's highest and best. It could even be better than you could possibly imagine. And she says, oh my gosh, that's great. I never even thought about that. It's true. You're the infinite mind of God. You know everybody's preferences. You know what's highest and best for all. That's awesome. I'm going to relax into that. I'm going to trust that. Thank you so much. You're so good. I love you. And he says, I love you too. And now all that I'm asking for you is to trust and go shine the light of love and compassion and beauty and creativity and everything that is yours to do, you'll be divinely guided and led to, and you can just trust that and relax into it. And everybody's going to have a wonderful time. She says, thank you, you're the best. And he goes his way and she goes hers. So then after a little while, she realizes, oh my God, I totally forgot to tell him that I have deadlines and time preferences. I want to know who the caterer is by this date. I want to know the menu by this date. I want to know the decor is decided upon and everything bought by these dates. I have these time preferences. I want to know these answers by the times I need to know them, or I cannot relax. I cannot be happy. I have to know these things. So she goes running back to him and says, oh my gosh, we never talked about the timeline. I have to talk to you about this. I need it to be this way or I can't be happy. I need to know these things by these deadlines. And he says, you already know if you trust me, that everything is unfolding in perfect divine timing. How could it be otherwise? I'm handling all these things. You'll know through divine inspiration and intuition everything that's yours to know, as long as you live in your heart and you focus on being loving and compassionate and creative and expressing divine beauty, which you do so well. Allow me to take care of the timing. Remember, I can see through all directions of time and space. I really do know what's the highest and best for everyone. Please trust that when it comes to timing. And so she says, oh gosh, wow, this is fantastic. I never even thought that God could be so good to me. This is amazing. Thank you so much. You're the best. I love you. And he says, and I love you. Relax into that. Go now. Be peaceful, be beautiful, be creative, and shine the light of love everywhere you go. She says, I will. Thank you, hon. And she goes off to do some other things. And as she's doing those other things, some time goes by and she realizes, gosh, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable living in this kind of trust. I don't know if I really trust God to take care of me, to take care of my preferences and my opinions and make it the way I want it to be and the way I think it should be. I don't know that I really feel comfortable trusting, because I really kind of believe if it doesn't go the way I think it should go, it's not good. I really think it has to go the way I think it should go, or it's not going to be good. And this is really stressful. I don't think I can stand trusting God to support me. I mean, I've been waiting an hour now and I don't have any divine intuition, and I'm just thinking the clock is ticking and I've got to get that caterer nailed down and the menu, and gosh, what if it doesn't go the way I think it should go? And I'm just getting more stressed and more stressed. I have no idea how to trust God. I I think I don't think I can do this. So she goes running back to him and she says, honey, I know you really want to help me and I know you're really good and you love me, but I think it's better if I just do it myself. I really, really do. So please don't be hurt or offended, but I'm just going to do this myself, and I'll trust you at a different time when it feels easier. And I think I'll just take care of this myself, because then I know it's done right and the way I want it. So can I have all that back? And I'm going to take it off the altar now. And so what does God do every time? As you wish. Your experience of free will is what you get to have. And so when you're ready to trust divine will and to follow divine guidance and have a life of ease and grace and experience the highest and best unfolding for yourself and everyone else, you let me know. I'm right here. I'm so happy to serve you. That's what I live for. And she says, oh, I hope to be able to do that someday. And he says, I know that you can, as soon as you choose it. And that is the end of that story. So it's what what I see people do all the time. They, in their prayer, they make the offering and they surrender what they think they need, what they think they want, and how they think it should be. They surrender the desire, the opinions, the judgments in their prayer. But then they go back and take it off the altar. And so the answered prayer, the ease, the grace, the divine inspiration and intuition seems to elude them. And it's like God's not listening to them. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is the person surrenders and then takes it back. So, this is what we're learning here in Prayer Power, to practice handing it over, placing it on the altar. It's not my problem anymore. And so that's what, if you are doing the practice of praying for that person each day, or for the 21 days of Prayer Power, then you're experiencing going back again and again, placing it on the altar, placing it on the altar, placing it on the altar. And so it is that going back to prayer again and again and again that gives you the opportunity to place it back on the altar and to learn to trust. One of the things I'd like to give you as a homework assignment is in the Manual for Teachers of A Course in Miracles, and you can Google this and find this, is in Chapter 4, which is called The Characteristics of God's Teachers. The first one is trust, the first of the characteristics. And I'm inviting you to read that trust section. It's pages, I believe, 9 and 10, 10, 11, somewhere like that. Read that every day this next week. Read it. It's 2 pages. That's all it is. You don't need to read the A section. Just read the main 2 pages there. It's really only a page and a half. So read it every day for the next week. Contemplate it. You will be amazed when you really hear clearly what it means to place your trust in God and you begin to practice it. You're going to experience so much healing. So remember, in the first week I suggested that you read in chapter 2 the fear and conflict and the cause and effect sections. So now you have 3 short readings from A Course in Miracles. Keep reading and rereading them. They're going to help you understand this. It's so powerful and so, so helpful. Let's see here now. Oh, you know what? I got distracted setting up the live stream. There's something I want to go get a book off the shelf and read to you. And we're just coming up on time here. I also want to share very briefly about the difference between prayer and affirmation. So I am going to take the phone with me and leave the camera. And prayer and affirmation. Affirmation, you've got in Masterful Living the willingness affirmations. I'm willing to be free. I'm willing to know the truth. I'm willing to have a healing. So we're opening up our trust and faith by affirming willingness. Willingness is so powerful. Willingness, gratitude. Willingness, your little bit of willingness is all that is needed for divine inspiration and healing to begin to flow at unprecedented levels. And if you're affirming an affirmation that you don't actually believe, in my experience, it can literally trigger negative thoughts that you do believe, false beliefs that you do believe. So for instance, let's say you're having intense pain, physical suffering from an illness, and you're saying affirmations like, I am perfect, whole, and complete, but you don't believe them because you're in pain and suffering. It's actually, I believe, going to trigger unconscious or non-conscious, maybe not even unconscious, false beliefs. You might hear yourself saying in your mind, oh, that's a load of crap. I'm suffering. This is ridiculous. This is never going to work. Those are the thoughts that you probably believe much more strongly than the affirmation, I am whole, perfect, and complete. And so what are you going to experience if it's done unto you as you believe? Exactly. So this is why Masterful Living is all about changing your beliefs, getting to the root cause, pulling up the weed by the root and planting in its place the seed that you would like to grow, which is, my true nature is love. My true nature is peace. I'm willing to know my true nature. So I find that affirmations of willingness do not trigger the negativity. Sometimes we're not so willing, so we can say, I'm willing to be willing. And maybe you're willing to be willing to be willing. So I want to find this quote from Joel Goldsmith's Thunder of Silence, which is a beautiful, beautiful book. Joel Goldsmith was a Christian Science practitioner and a true mystic. And I collect first editions of his books. And let's see here. I think I know what page this is on. Here, it's one of my favorite quotes. Looking for it here. Yes. So this is on page 48 in Thunder of Silence by Joel Goldsmith. And so he is talking about prayer here. And he says, what God is, we do not know. But there are many, many ways in which to observe and witness the isness of God, not by knowing God, but by seeing the effects of God. We do not know how God functions, but in the infinite way, we have discovered, the infinite way was his group, his ministry. In the infinite way, we have discovered that God operates in silence, when thought is stilled, and when the human sense of self is so humble that it really and truly believes that I can of my own self do nothing, and then has the patience to wait for God's glory to be revealed. It is only those who are ready to give up all their concepts of God, to stop dreaming, thinking, and outlining, who in that complete surrender can let God reveal itself. And then he gives us a prayer here. And this is his prayer. He says, God, I know not what you are, or even how to pray to you. I know not how to go in or how to come out. I know not what to pray for. I cannot believe in the God that the world has accepted, for I have seen the fruitlessness and frustration which follow such blind faith. I must find the God whom no man knoweth, the God that is, the one true God that created this universe in his own image and likeness, perfect, harmonious, and whole, and who maintains and sustains it in its infinite and eternal perfection. In such a God I can believe. Reveal yourself, Father, show me your will. Never again will I dishonor you by trying to tell you what I need and then attempt to coerce you into delivering it. Never will I expect you to do my will or my bidding, to be my messenger boy. I place my life, my hand, my being, and my body in your keeping. Do with them what you will, Father. Take them. Take my fears and my diseases. Take my health and my wealth. Take it all. I ask only one gift, the gift of you, yourself. So let us close with that. And we place our hand on our heart right now. And we take this holy breath. And we declare that we are willing to be truly grateful for the love of God, which is our true identity. We are grateful and thankful that we can commune with God, that we can learn to commune with our own I am presence, that God is not far away. God is our true nature, our true identity. We are one with the One. And we release any desire or need to try to coerce or manipulate or control God to do our bidding. We are open and receptive to living the highest and best possibility of our life, even if we don't know what that is. We know that it is good. We know that it is that which we have already chosen for ourselves. So we are declaring ourselves fully willing and available to access the very highest and best possibilities in this script for our life, and to share the benefits of our healing and our expansion, our loving and compassionate heart with everyone, because we are one with them. In grace and gratitude, we let it be, and so it is. Amen. Amen, amen, amen. Whew. There's so much more to come, so much more to come. I know you have questions in Masterful Living, and I am here to answer them, and we will be answering them. So remember, I'm going to be sending you some scheduling changes for the month of February, and I think that's it for now. I love you. I thank God for you. And remember to order your Masterful Living workbook. They're available now. And I've sent emails about that. And that's it. Okay. I love you.